Welcome to this video lecture series on transportation engineering. In this session, we shall discuss on Unit 3, that is traffic engineering and control. The contents of Unit 3 are as follows. First, traffic characteristics, traffic engineering studies, traffic flow and capacity. Then traffic regulation, control devices such as the signals, signs, islands, road markings, etc. Next is the accident studies, the type of road intersections, parking studies, and lastly is the highway lightnings. Now, what actually is traffic engineering? Traffic engineering is the science of measuring the traffic and the travel by studying the basic laws which actually are relating to the traffic flow generation and the application of this knowledge for the professional practice of planning, designing and operating traffic systems in order to achieve first safe, second is rapid and efficient movement of people and goods at the economical cost. The objective of traffic engineering is to achieve the efficient, free and rapid flow of the traffic, hence creating conditions on the road which will help for the free and the rapid movement, that is avoiding the traffic congestion, having proper signboards, signal systems at the intersections, etc. And next is to reduce the number of accidents. This can be made possible by providing necessary signboards at the places where they are prone to accidents. The various phases of the traffic engineering are as follows. That is, first is engineering, that is constructive and geometric design of the roads. Enforcement relates to the traffic laws, regulations and the control of the traffic. And lastly is education, that is publicity through the advertisements, schools and television regarding the traffic laws, regulations and awareing the general public regarding the necessity or the importance of the traffic engineering. Next, traffic study. The traffic study is very important as far as the use of the roads are concerned, and it has to be carried out for various reasons. First is in order to obtain the knowledge of the type and volume of the traffic at present, and then to estimate the future traffic that the road is expected to carry. Knowing the present scenario, that what actually is the density of the traffic on the road and forecasting it for the near future can help in order to design the road as well as to have necessary controlling measures that can be taken on the roads. Second is to determine the facilities provided on the roads and at the intersections, such as the traffic regulation and control, so that the improvement on the basis of the traffic density may be carried out. Now here we'll have to take into consideration the present scenario of the traffic on the roads and at the intersections. That means if there is a intersection and there is traffic congestion for much period of a day, then necessary action can be taken on such sorts of spots where there is the traffic jam or congestion of the traffic. Next is to design the geometric features and pavement thicknesses on the basis of the traffic surveys. The traffic surveys basically make us know the total volume of traffic moving on the road, then the types of vehicles moving on the road, and cumulatively this information can be used in order to design the pavement thickness and the geometric features required on that road. Next, to design the bridges and the culverts. The survey related to the accidents on the road helps in order to redesign the roads and increase the road widths and consecutively to maintain the regulation and control on the roads. So here the survey can identify the accident prone spots and necessary measures can be taken depending upon this study. Now, the goal of traffic engineering. The goal of traffic engineering is to explore uh, for providing the safe, rapid, comfortable, convenient, economical, and environmental compatible movement of the people and goods. The meaning of these terms can be broadly understood by first is safe. That means public safety comes first. As civil engineering, as in civil engineering, we know that safety has the prime priority. So this traffic engineering actually leads towards having the utmost safety to the people while they are traveling on the roads. Second is rapid, the time value and customer service. In order to have the least duration of time for a person to reach from one destination to another, it is necessary that the traffic on the roads, it should be rapid. Next is comfortable or convenient. The level of service which the roads they provide, it should be comfortable and convenience. This is in regards with the free flow of the traffic without any congestion. Then the waiting time at the intersections, etc. Economical, that is in regards with the social cost of the or the traveling cost. Next is environmental. In order to have the clean and sustainable environment, as we know that the movement of the vehicles on the roads is one of the prime factors which adds to the pollution, like air pollution and the noise pollution. Here this environmental aspect has to be addressed. And lastly is the movement or the mobility of the vehicles and the pedestrians freely on the road with utmost comfort. The scope of traffic engineering is categorized into the six ways. First is the traffic characteristics. That is in regards of the improvement of the traffic facilities for the vehicles, machines and human beings. And second is the traffic studies and its analysis. To study the traffic and analyze, depending upon which necessary decisions can be taken in order to regulate them on the site. Next is traffic operation, control and regulation. So this regards with the laws, the speed limits, installation of the traffic control devices, etc. depending upon the nature and the volume of the traffic. Next is the planning and analysis. Followed by the geometric design. Geometric design here it regards with the horizontal and vertical curve design in order to have the safe stopping distances, overtaking distances, and very importantly to have the sight distance so that the driver can observe the oppositely moving vehicle. And lastly, the administration and management, that is 3E concept as discussed earlier. Here first is the traffic characteristics. Traffic characteristics basically relates to the road user characteristics and the vehicular characteristics. Road user characteristics, it depends to the pedestrians who are moving onto the cycle and the factors related to the road user, whereas vehicular characteristics it correlates to the vehicles. Now first, the road user characteristics. It depends upon the physical, mental, psychological and environmental factors, whereas the vehicular characteristics it depends upon the vehicle dimension, the weight of the loaded vehicle, then the power of the vehicle, the speed of the vehicle and the braking characteristics. From this table we can see the dimension of the vehicle, the details and the maximum dimension of the vehicle in meters. So the general width of all the vehicles is restricted up to 2.5 meters. Height for a single application decked vehicle for normal it is 3.8, and double decked vehicle the maximum height is 4.75 meters. The length of the vehicle in a single unit truck is 11 meters, and single unit bus with 2 or more axles is 12 meters. The semi-trailer tractor combinations, the types such as 2S1, 2S2, etc., is 16 meters. And lastly, the tractor and the trailer combination, the maximum length is 18 meters. So the first is the road user characteristics. Now, considering here the human behavior or the various aspects of the human behavior while he is traveling on the road, there are various road user characteristics which one has to study. The first one is the psychological characteristics, which is measurable and usually quantifiable characteristics in regards with the vision and hearing capacity of the person who is using the road. Second is the psychological characteristics. The psychological characteristics a bit complex and difficult to measure and quantify because it relates to the perception, the intellection, emotion and volition of the person or the driver while he is traveling on the road. The first, the road user characteristics in regards with his visual capability. The fields of vision for a human eye are again classified into three parts. First is the acute or the clear vision cone. Second is the fairly clear vision cone, and third is the peripheral vision. Next is the perception or the reaction time, abbreviated as PRT. Here it relates to the detection, then the identification, decision, and the response of the driver while he is driving his vehicle on the road. That is the total process by which the driver of the vehicle or the car makes his decision once he visualizes any sort of an obstruction. Then the reaction time, then the reaction distance, then the age of the user, and the complexity of the reaction. That means the condition in which the person he is moving, that can be psychological or environmental or physical. And lastly, the presence of alcohol or the drugs in the driver's system. That means if the driver he has consumed any sort of an alcohol or drug, then his capability to make the decision on his reaction time. First, to discuss regarding the vision. As we know that vision is the most important factor which affects to the highway design and safety. Here, the first part regarding vision is the acute or the clear vision cone, which is the field of the clearest and acute vision within which the cone whose angle is 3 degree above the center line of the retina, which helps for the distance vision. That means in a person to be capable enough to visualize an object at a distance, it is necessary that the field of the clearest and acute vision should be within the cone of angle of 3 degrees. B. Fairly clear vision cone. Here, the vision is satisfactory when the angle of the cone is in between 10 degrees to 12 degrees around the line of sight, and the color and the shape can be identified on the field. This is very important in order to identify the signs and signals while traveling through the roads. Peripheral vision is the total visual field for the two eyes, and which is possible. Vision is possible, but without clear details and the colors. The angle of the peripheral visions in the horizontal direction is at 160 degrees, whereas in the vertical direction it is 115 degrees. As you can see from the figure, the peripheral vision here, if you can observe, the peripheral vision is the eye vision with an angle of 120 to 160 degrees, whereas acute vision is within the angle of 3 to 10 degrees, and fairly clear vision comes with a total range of 10 to 12 degrees of a human eye. Next, glare recovery. The capability of a human eye to recover if there is a glare, and to adapt the glare and the variation in light conditions is very important, because while traveling through the roads on the vehicles, if there is a glare which might lead to the temporary blinding of the vision, which may lead to accidents. And the factors which affect the glare recovery, it depends upon the age, the wearing of the eyeglasses, etc. The general recovery time is of 3 to 6 seconds, and it is very important in order to identify the traffic lights, the traffic signs. The drivers, they also feel the difficulty to recognize the proper signals if there is a glare of the light or of the headlight of the vehicle moving in the opposite direction. Next is the depth of perception. The depth of perception is the ability in order to judge the distance and the speed of the approaching vehicles by the driver. And it is important for the pedestrians to cross the road, as the pedestrian has to judge the speed of the vehicle moving from the opposite direction. Next, for the driver, the judgment of the speed for the vehicles is very important, as in various sorts of situations. First might be in order to overtake a vehicle. Second might be if the vehicle is approaching from an opposite direction, then at the intersections it may help the driver to make his judgment whether to cross the road or take an halt. Next is hearing. Hearing is very important for the road users, very importantly in order to hear the sound of the horns, so that the pedestrians or the drivers, he may be alert regarding the vehicles approaching towards him or her. And lastly, it is very important for the elderly people with the falling eyesight. Now the first to discuss regarding the perception time, or here the perception reaction time, that is PRT. It is defined as the time of the critical driver characteristics is the perception reaction time. During perception and reaction, the driver must perform 4 different processes. That means it is a critical time of the driver characteristics or the road user characteristics, which is termed as the perception reaction time, in which the driver or the road user has to make 4 distinct processes. First is detection, second is identification, third is decision, and fourth is the response. Now in the first phase, when an object or a condition of the concern, it enters into the driver's field of vision, the road user driver becomes conscious or aware that something is requiring a response is present. That means the driver or the road user, he becomes aware of the traffic condition in front of him. Next, identification. In this phase, the driver acquires the sufficient information concerning the object or a condition in order to allow the consideration of an appropriate response. Depending upon the sight condition, the driver or the road user can identify and they identify the condition and can come to an appropriate response. Third is the decision. Now once the road user or the driver he has identified the object or the condition, the driver can analyze the information and take a suitable decision in order to respond. And lastly, after the decision has been reached, the response is now physically implemented by the driver. Perception time, perception reaction time, in continuation with this, it includes the detection, identification and decision elements involved in the responding to an action, whereas the reaction time is a time taken by in order to initiate the physical response. So here is a difference in between the perception time and the reaction time. So both this should be addressed differently. So some references refer it to the perception, identification or intellection, emotion and valuation time, or generally known as the PIEV theory, which is comparable in the concept of the PRT, that is the perception reaction time. The reaction time for a signal timing purpose, the Institute of the Transportation Engineers recommends a PRT time of 1 second. That means for a signal, the perception reaction time for a road user, it should be 1 second. And as per the American Association of the State Highway Officials, the perception reaction time for braking reactions on the highways, it is 2.5 seconds, whereas for the reaction time of the traffic signal, it is 1 second. Next is the psychological characteristics, that is the PIEV theory, that is perception, intellection, emotion and valuation theory. Here the perception, it relates to the time required in order to perceive an object. Intellection is the time required for understanding the situation. Emotion, the time elapsed during the emotional sensations and disturbances, which may be of various sorts, that is fear, afraidness, anger, superstitions, etc. And valuation is the time taken for the final action. As you can see from the figure, here P, it is the perception. That means once the object is being observed, the user gets a signal to his brain regarding the condition. Second is intellection. Now in intellection, the brain undergoes certain process in order to react to that reaction. Third, emotion. The person, whether he is in what sort of psychological condition the person is, he might be in fear or any superstition, etc., which will again delay to his capability in order to react to the given situation. And V is the response now the brain gives to the given situation. Next is the age of the driver. The problems of the younger drivers. First is the difficulty in the judging speed, distance and the reaction time. Then to tend to concentrate on the near objects. That means while driving, the driver, he tends to concentrate only onto the nearby objects and no distance objects. Third, missing the important information because its relevance is not understood. The negligent driving of the drivers without considering the important information that might be the signpost, signals, etc. Then having difficulty in integrating the information. This is in regards with perception. The driver should be keen enough to integrate the information and take necessary measures or react to the necessary information. Next is underestimating the risk of the accident involvement. Various spots on the road are accident spots, wherein at times there are provisions of the signposts. But wherever there is no provision of a signpost of danger, the driver he himself should estimate the risk of an accident at such sorts of road spots and react accordingly. Lastly, making less effective driving decisions. The driver should have reaction time and he should be able to take the clear cut decisions while driving the vehicle. Now, the problems of the older drivers. First is the difficulty in the rapid decision making. Now, with age, there is a reduction into the reflexes of the human brain and human body parts. So, here it directly correlates to the older age of the drivers at the intersections. Then, the older drivers they take certain time to absorb and understand the traffic control information. They have the difficulty at the night as they have the lower acute vision and lower eyesight. Again, it leads it this difficulty of night vision. It again tends to um, hamper the eyesight of the driver because of the lower light level and the headlight glare. And as the body of the driver is aged, they are readily fatigued. That means they have this tendency to be tired earlier, as well as the capacity of the eyes to visualize and to concentrate on the road while driving. With this, we shall stop here. Thank you.